At last BlenderCon, Ton Rosendahl announced one of the biggest decisions in Blender's history.
I'm going to announce that I will step down as Blender Foundation chairman and Blender CEO by the end of the year, and let Francesco and his team take the helm of the Blender project at the beginning of 26.
And so a few weeks go by, and I see this email in my inbox from Francesco Citi, the CEO of Blender. So I send back an email, we send emails back and forth, and it turns out he's starting a new campaign. And he reached out to me and a few other creators trying to raise funds for Blender, which left me wondering why. Is this something just horrific that's happening for Blender, or is this just some new management change or direction that they're going in? What's actually going on here? But luckily for me, I had direct access to the CEO, so I just asked him for some clarification. And as it turns out, the answer is both yes and no. So don't worry, Blender isn't going bankrupt, we're not losing it, but it needs our help now, probably more than ever before. The root of the problem, and the reason Francesco reached out to me, is because Blender is run on donations, which is great in theory, but less than 0.5% of its users actually donate. While other open source programs like Thunderbird, for instance, get proportionally 6 times the support. So for instance, in 2023, Blender was downloaded 20 million times and had at minimum between 2 and 4 million active monthly users. But it only had 10,200 donors. The actual number of users is likely much higher, but the donations just don't match. This turns what is already a bad donation ratio into something just downright horrible. And I'm not trying to just doom or gloom or fearmonger. This is something that's been going on for years. Nothing is new here. But why are Blender's numbers so low? Well, Blender was first released in 1994, and it was Ton's dream to create a free program that would allow people to bring their imagination to life. But he just didn't have enough money. So after he had exhausted his personal funds, he slowly began to sell off shares of Blender stock to be able to pay for his continued development. But this created a big problem, because in 2002, he wanted to release the software as open source and fulfill this dream he had of giving everybody a free tool to create whatever they could imagine. But of course, his investors didn't want to do that, and he only owned 10% of the company. His solution was a Hail Mary to create the Blender Foundation, which aimed to raise $100,000 to buy back Blender from the investors. After this goal was achieved, Blender was released as the open source, community-focused program that we all know and love today. But because Ton was more focused on his dream than on profit, Blender never really asked for money. Until recently. Of course, they encouraged people to donate, but it was suddenly placed at the bottom of their site. It seems like Blender is in the best place it's ever been. Donations are at an all-time high. In Ton's keynote address, he showed that donations are going up every single year, which brings us to the reason why Francesco reached out to me. Blender is on the brink of breaking into the industry. We saw it with Flow, the animated film that won the Oscar and was made entirely in Blender. We saw it with How to Train Your Dragon, when Framestore's Stefan Meyer showed that Blender was an integral part of the dragon creation process. We even saw it more recently in the Backrooms movie, with Kane Parsons using Blender for all the visual effects. Blender may not be the industry standard, but it's on the brink. Ton put it this way.
But money is also getting important in Blender if we want to continue our growth.
Looking at it through this lens, it makes sense why Blender has recently started focusing on money so much. They're in competition with Maya, Houdini, Cinema 4D, these giant tech companies that are entrenched in the industry and have been part of the pipeline for years. And in 2023, Blender earned a little bit over $3 million, while Autodesk earned $5 billion. Blender is trying to grow, to become a free tool that brings industry-level capabilities to everyone. And to accomplish this, they are turning to the community.
Blender might not be the best software, and we may not have the best technology or the best organization or the best leadership in place, but we do have the best community, right?
This year, they are specifically asking for our help to bring Blender to the forefront of the industry, and along with it, all of those who've invested so much time and energy into learning it. And the best way to do that is, of course, to donate. This year, Blender is asking for $5. If Blender has provided you with $5 worth of value this year, I would highly encourage you to donate. But what can you do aside from donate? Well, you've already helped in a small way just by watching this video. When the yearly Blender survey came out, 42% of people said that they do not donate to Blender because they cannot afford it. I want to make this video a resource for those people. So for every view on this video, I'm going to donate 1/10 of a cent to the Blender Fund, which is $1 for every 1,000 views. I know it's not much, but this is the best way I'm able to give back. And if this becomes my most popular video, I'll have donated a little bit over $1,200. And that donation is made possible by the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. We'll get to them in a minute. But selfishly, I would love it if you hit the like button, share, subscribe, all those things that will help boost this video. But realistically, you can do more than 1/10 of a cent. The best thing you can do is to donate yourself. If you've ever made any money off of Blender, consider giving a small portion of it back. But even if you are in the group that can't afford to donate, leveraging your influence online and in person, helping other people to become aware that this is an issue is a huge help. I personally don't have the ability to donate a whole lot myself, but last year I made a fundraising video similar to this one, and through the views on that video, I was able to donate over $500. But that's nothing compared to what you donated. From that one video, Blender raised over $113,000, which directly contributed to these improvements that we've seen in the last year, to the rollout of Vulkan, to these new simulation nodes that came in 5.2, and all these other groundbreaking features that are on the horizon. So if you think that because you can't donate a lot yourself that you're useless, that's just wrong. So thank you for that. But now let's look forward to the future. What is Blender building towards right now that your donation would directly help bring to fruition? Well, first, full support for physics nodes. This is something that the community has wanted for years, and Ton announced their development in his keynote. I did an interview with Harry Blends, who is one of the leading experts on geometry nodes last year, and as we were discussing simulation nodes, he said this.
Well, it's public knowledge that the next iteration of geometry node simulations is being actively worked on at the moment. They're focusing on developing ways to enable the creation of powerful simulation assets that are easy to use on the front end. Hair simulation specifically is getting a lot of love.
We've already started to see this come to fruition in Blender 5.2 with the new cloth and hair systems. But these tools still need a lot of work to bring them up to industry grade Houdini level stuff. And if you're serious about learning Blender and capitalizing on some of these changes, that's where today's sponsor Skillshare comes in. And there are two main reasons why I wanted to partner with them for this video. First, they really helped me to fund this video so I can donate to the Blender Fund. But secondly, there are a lot of individually great tutorials on YouTube. But what ends up happening is you're bouncing from random video to video, which means you waste a lot of time. With Skillshare, you have access to hundreds of classes by industry professionals where each second is structured and each lesson is cohesive and builds on the last, which means you'll end up learning way faster. There are tons of classes that teach Blender, but I personally always wanted to learn After Effects. So I've been going through this class by Jordi Vandeput. It's high quality and shows exactly what I need to do without needless fluff. And even if you don't care about learning Blender, since Skillshare is the largest online learning platform, you can learn any creative skill. They have literally thousands of classes that teach everything from film and illustration to productivity and journalism. But even if you only care about Blender, there are over 700 classes that span every skill level. The first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So there's literally no risk. If it's not a good fit, you can cancel anytime. But now let's get back to the video. But next are Blender's story tools. Blender is working on integrating them into the video sequencer, which would allow for much faster storyboarding and really expedite the planning process. This is also another way Blender is slowly creeping into the industry. If it becomes the leading software for storyboards and development, then as more people learn it for that purpose, it'll make the transition to the other tools even smoother. But this isn't the only addition that's planned for the video sequencer. Blender has now integrated the compositor into the sequencer, which brings it much more in line with something like DaVinci Resolve or other industry-grade color grading applications. Now, this next one would be very controversial, but based on the survey at the beginning of the year, it seems like Blender has hinted that there is a possibility of some kind of AI integration in its future. Now, at the 2024 BlenderCon, Francesco already hinted at the fact that they're working on some kind of AI integration. The exact scope of what they're doing, we don't yet know. But if you're worried about AI and all the implications involved in it, I wouldn't necessarily be. Blender caught a lot of flack when they first announced this because of all the animosity towards AI. But they've been using AI in their denoising algorithms for years. AI is in a lot of ways the bane of artists, but it's also a very pregnant term. Whenever you're using AI in the right way, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Generative AI is its own thing. But what Blender is talking about with their AI integration seems to indicate that they are planning on integrating it in a way that helps artists create their own work rather than doing it for them. And another announcement from 2024 that still has yet to come to light are all the new improvements to the modeling systems inside of Blender, specifically NURBS, SDF, and Gaussian splatting. And if you want to learn more about those systems, you can watch this video right here. Thank you for watching.